is Jessica Webster.
And this is Sam Pogue of the Fitness Break Room podcast. Sit back, take a well-deserved break, and learn about the journey that helps shape the most successful fitness professionals in the industry today.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Fitness Break Room podcast. I am your host, Sam Pogue, along with my great friends, Adam and Chris from Strategic Capital Management. Am I getting that right, or am I fucking it up already?
No, we just go with Strategic Capital.
Keep it short and sweet. Strat Cap if you want.
Okay, perfect. Strat Cap. There you go. So we're going to go a little bit different direction this week in our episode in the sense that we're going to go with some services and being able to manage your business more efficiently. For a lot of you out there, you either work for yourself or work a fluctuating hourly to where you're not paid a set salary. You don't even get manageable hours each week. And that can be really tough to plan for the future and really tough to plan not only your immediate financial health, but your future financial health. So Strategic Capital is a financial planning service or business based here in Austin, Texas. They actually do all the retirement and equity plans for the on-it employees, which is how we got connected. And I thought it would have been a really valuable opportunity for us to be able to sit down with some experts to learn about how do you manage your financial health to go along with your business so that way you can set yourself up for the future. And I think that a lot of trainers don't necessarily think about what that session rate, is doing for them down the road. So you might charge $150 for a session today, but that $150 might be cash today, but what are you going to do in 10 years? What are you going to do in 20 years? What are you going to do in 40 years? Is your financial health set up so that way you could have a family on this kind of job, and that way you could have a retirement, or for a lot of you gym owners, or, you might like to go on vacation. And I wanted to bring these guys in to be able to talk about what that is. So real quick, guys, introduce yourself, name and title, so that way they all know who you are, and we'll kind of get rolling.
Cool. Well, first and foremost, thanks for having us on. Definitely appreciate it. This is me and Chris's first podcast, so y'all get to hear our first time. My name's Adam D'Acierno. Like Sam said, I am the business retirement specialist at Strategic Capital. So I sit down with business owners and help them figure out what is it that they're actually trying to accomplish with putting in a retirement plan for the business. There's so many different aspects as to what a retirement plan can accomplish. So sitting down with business owners and really diving deep into the world of retirement types of plans, not just what everybody's heard of, really helps businesses, from the results that we've seen, maximize and make efficiency out of the dollars that they're bringing in. Because you can look at dollars, or I look at dollars two ways. One that's going to either enrich my life or one that's going to enrich my business. Money's a resource, so the more resources that you can have readily available for yourself, emergency, opportunity, the better. So that's what I do. I focus on the business side of everything. And then my partner, Chris, he sits down and completes the whole package and sits down with the individuals.
I like it when he completes my package.
Hey.
Are we going there already?
That's every day for me. So
I'm sorry, I work for John Wolf.
Yeah, so he sits down with all the individuals and takes that realm. It's just too hard to be an expert in both fields, we found, so that's why we niche ourselves and become experts in our own respective fields.
Yeah, so my name's Chris Hernandez, and I found that I liked working with individuals, and that's where my passion really lied. I've been doing this for 9 years now, and my junior year in college, I went to UTSA, started working at Citibank, so one of the biggest financial institutions in the world, and nobody taught me how my 401k worked. No one sat down and said, hey, this is what it is, this is what it does. So when I got into the financial planning industry, I was like, hey, I really want to educate people. And it was a great partnership with Adam, because he's like, as cool as helping people are, I like working on the business side so I can help people save taxes, help on a bigger scope. And then I was like, well, I can come in and work with the employees. So that way the businesses are getting education, the employees are getting education, and it's just a better atmosphere for everybody. Yeah. So that's how our partnership kind of started 4 years ago, and it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the model over the last 40 years has been someone trying to do it all, and that's why America is in the retirement crisis that we're in. It's because advisors have been trying to do too much, and, well, let me backtrack, not too much. They're trying to do too much in a sense of keeping everything monetarily to themselves, where I think that teamwork makes the dream work. So, yeah, I'm giving a little bit away, but I'm gaining so much more because now I have X amount of different partners that all work with me and are bringing me business as well.
Yeah.
So you change the game with everything that you're doing. We like to work with, someone told us, Quan Cosby, who y'all are affiliated with too, said we like working with PLUs, people like us, people that have that same like mindset. And so when you can link up with individuals like that, I think it makes for that community, and it's easier to make change when you have a team around you. And that's ultimately what I want to do, is change this industry to make it not as daunting. I remember the first time I ever sat down with a financial advisor. I think I was like 20 years old. And I knew psychologically that I needed to save. I knew it was a good thing to do. But when I sat down with him, he made me feel so uncomfortable because he couldn't relate to me. I couldn't relate to him. It just didn't make sense.
Yeah.
So what we found is saving, finance, retirement, all that stuff, it's so psychological and so mental. So I think that one of the biggest challenges that we have is figuring out a way to bridge and find common ground between our current self and our future self. So if we can find that common ground and make it comfortable to live now, taking care of our future self, well, then our future self is going to live real comfortably down the road.
That's awesome.
And I think that comes down to just paying yourself first, especially as we're meeting with a lot of entrepreneurs. It's a part of your business to pay yourself first, because you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know when you're going to need capital, but we all know life's going to happen. So if you have a mindset of just, hey, I'm going to take 5% and just pay myself first, your future self will be really happy you did that.
Yeah. So let's back up a little bit. A lot of people are probably going, okay, financial planning. So some people might have come from corporate America. Maybe they worked at like a big, Fortune 100, 500 type firm where they had something like this, and it's probably even then still sitting there. And maybe they became a trainer, or maybe you're fresh out of college and you've never worked for anyone else, right? And maybe you're working strictly for yourself, or maybe you're working for a large corporation like a 24-hour fitness or Gold's Gym. And so, you're getting paid by someone else, but you're still really dependent on your own efforts to pay you. So, there's two camps, right? There's financial planning and asset management, and then there's CPAs, both tax and audit, right? What is the difference between a CPA and financial planning?
So the CPAs will take care of your taxes. I really think that most CPAs are living in the world of the past. So when you bring your financials, they look at it, and what they're trying to do is save you taxes on the last 12 months.
Okay.
That's their overall goal. What we do on the financial planning side is we're trying to look 10, 15, 20 years into the future and say, hey, this is where you are now, and you may be that 21-year-old kid. You may think, hey, $25 a month is not going to do anything for you. But the time value of money is so important that $25 per month that you're setting aside turns into a lot of money when you are 55 or 60. I work with a lot of baby boomers right now, and they all say the same thing. I wish I would have started saving when I was 25. I wish I would start saving when I was 25. So when we're speaking to that 21-year-old, we're like, hey, put away the $20. Put away the $25. It's going to add up.
Okay. So let's look at it, too, from this. So let's say you're a brand new trainer getting into the industry, and you work for yourself. You just opened up a brand new gym, and maybe you took a small business loan out, or maybe you got some equity stacked up in the bank from your accounting job prior, right? You just talked about paying yourself first, right? What does that mean? If Fitness Break Room LLC has got Sam and Jessica on it, like what does that mean that we pay ourselves first?
Paying yourself first, it's all psychological. The easiest way to do it is to never see the money. So if you can get yourself set up on some type of plan, some type of system where who knows how much you need to save, but if you can get that money coming out of your paycheck or out of the fee that you're collecting before you ever see it, you're not going to notice it And then 5 years, 10 years down the road, you have access to all of this different capital.
And capital means what?
Money.
Money.
Resources. You have the ability
That's the new glute ham raise. That's a new set of bars. That's a new set of maces and clubs. Capital is what allows you guys to be able to purchase cool new things, go to certifications, fix a leak in your roof, right? And being able to have that on hand, because you don't want a situation where, you might be selling, $300,000 a month in services, and you could have no capital, right?
Yeah.
Literally.
And I think that's where it's taking a step back is what I see with most business owners, and there's a big failure rate in the entrepreneurial world, is they do not take the time to figure out their fixed costs and figure out how much they need to sell to meet their fixed cost and go from there. So when I'm talking about the fixed cost, if you're renting a place, what your electric bill is, what your insurance bill is, those aren't going to go away. So you add on top of that your 5% that's going to you paying yourself first. That's a part of the fixed cost. So when you sit down and you're like, okay, I need to sell 5 training sessions per month at this rate to cover my fixed cost.
5 a month. That's some hardcore. That's
right. That's 5 hard sessions.
5 hard sessions, yeah. Charge a lot. No, but if that's your fixed cost, then when you get up to 6, 7, 8, that's going to be profit. So people don't take the time to sit there and just say, they get so excited, they get so energetic, then they jump into it, and they're flying by the seat of their pants. And if you don't put yourself first in that fixed cost, there's always going to be something in the budget to eat that money up. It's going to be more equipment. It's going to be, who knows? You're just going to find a way to spend that money. So that needs to be in there on the fixed cost. I think people need to take the time to find out what their break-even point is. And once they know that, they can track it on a monthly basis. I hit my goal this month. I didn't hit my goal this month. Hit my goal. Now I'm starting to see this stack up.
And you think that from day one, like if Sam Pogue starts to become a trainer and walk out on it, and I'm going to go start my own gym, and I don't have any clients, right? And maybe I'm going to go pay rent at Adam's gym for $10,000 a month. I'm gonna go train there. But from day one, when I'm $10,000 in the red already, that I should pay myself first?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Because you're taking that 5%.
Yeah.
Because as you build yourself back up and you get out of the red, well, now you don't have the habit of paying yourself first. So what you've said is, well, once I get out of the red, then I'm going to start paying myself first. But that other money got bought out or got spent out. Yeah, it's got eaten up, and someone else, I need this, I need that. So what we're trying to do when we talk to people is build the habits early. The habits are key, because if you start with 5% and then a year later we come to you and say, hey, we're going to kick that up to 6%, you're not going to notice. And then a year later, 7. All of a sudden, we have people that are now saving 10, 15% of their money, and they're looking at it going, my lifestyle has never changed, and I have this money here. And then an opportunity comes up to maybe buy a gym or do something else to expand. You're not at the whims of a bank.
Yeah.
You have that money there. So what we're really trying to do is create habits early.
Yeah.
So that's just how you live your business life.
It's the habit, because every individual that we sit down with is completely different. So the concept is the same. Your situation is different. Okay, so then where we're putting the money is going to be situationally based. So if you need the money, well, we're going to put you in something that that gives you easy liquidity and access to the money. So it's knowing what's out there, and then knowing your situation, and then going and finding what works best for that situation. And what do you always say? I do a little humble brag, cheap plug. Like, we're independent advisors. We don't work for a big company that in the morning sends you an email that says you need to go sell this, this, and this. We have a client that calls us and says, hey, Adam, Chris, I need this, this, and this. Go find it for me. And then we go out to all of the different providers and we say, okay, who's got the best? Okay, now let's cherry pick, and now our client's got the best. So not every advisor is built the same. Not every trainer is built the same.
Yep.
Like we were talking, my Instagram handle's finance, fitness, food. Fitness, wow, I could go start putting my workouts up that I have y'all tear me apart on, and I might look good without a shirt on, so I'd take that off. I'm a trainer now.
Yep.
So you got to really do your research and understand who you're getting in with, what the different areas are, and how individuals can help you. And it's just good to know a guy that can help you do it.
What's up, everybody? Jessica here. Okay, this seems like a somewhat natural break in the show to let you in on a few things. First off, we also have a video version of every episode, so if you're not in your car or you are whatever, and you like to live dangerously, you can go to fitnessbreakroom.com to see Sam and I and our lovely guests recording in LA, San Diego, New York, Austin, all the places we visit to bring you access to the break room. Secondly, we need to go in for an ask. I know it's early, but this is so important to the success of the break room. This might be more info than you want to know, but hey, maybe you're starting a podcast and want to know this. We need to hit at least 30 good reviews in our first week or so after we've launched, so it would be a huge gift to us if you could take 30 seconds to subscribe to the Fitness Break Room on iTunes and leave us a review. If that happens, there's a good chance we'll be showcased in the new and noteworthy section, and that's exactly what we need to ensure the podcast is off to a strong start. The stronger the start, the more time we can dedicate to bringing you these unique stories of fitness professionals that are just rocking this industry. If you could do that, that would be amazing. To make this ask a little bit more juicy, if you send me a screenshot of your review, I'll give you an extra entry into our monthly Fitness Industry Night giveaway, where Sam and I pick one subscriber to win hundreds of dollars worth of fitness swag every last Friday of the month. This month, it's December 2017, is a huge assortment of Onnit supplements and golden earbuds. Fancy. So you can find all that information on our homepage. And thanks to Onnit, as always, you guys rock. Love you. If you haven't entered to win this giveaway, you can go to our website, fitnessbreakroom.com, to do that. And then you can email me your screenshot of your review on iTunes at jessica@fitnessbreakroom.com, or you can hit me up on Instagram at jessicawebster_, and I'll give you that extra entry to win that awesome giveaway from our friends at Onnit. All right, that's it for me. Enjoy the rest of the show, and thanks so much in advance for your review. It means a lot to us. It really does.
I went to business school. I wasn't a trainer by trade, so I've heard these terms before. Maybe a lot of kids who maybe went to like exercise science or biology, nutrition, have never heard some of these terms. You brought up liquidity. Liquid cash means what?
Liquid cash means that I have the ability to turn that cash into money. I can turn that investment into money within 3 days. So as long as I can get that money from wherever it's sitting, growing, capital preservation, it's just not growing. You just know that you're not going to lose money while it's sitting there. Liquidity means I can go in and I can access my money and it will be in my pocket in 3 days or less.
Like my checking account. Like
checking account,
savings account.
I can go pull cash right now.
Yep.
Right? So I think a lot of people, especially early on, especially young entrepreneurs, it's really easy to get caught up going, man, I need all the sexy in the world. I need the cool banners of Joe Rogan hanging from the rafters, and I need all the maces and all the clubs. And it is sexy. It's cool. It's great to have that. But it's not what's going to define you.
No,
and
redeemable values.
Yes.
Like if it does, I wear a fanny pack. It doesn't look cool, but it keeps all my stuff in one place. I know where I need to go to get all of my stuff. It's efficient. Mm-hmm. So if you have the tools in place to get what results are needed to succeed, then go make it flashy after.
Yeah, because what's sexy is staying in business.
Yeah.
Like that's what's sexy.
Yeah, absolutely. Just like with athletes, we talk about all the time here. The best ability is availability, right? And how many businesses...
That's a good one. I never heard that before.
That's a Jay Hills. That's a Jeremy Hills special right there.
Good old Jay Hills.
What percentage of businesses fail?
Oh, it's like 96% in the first 3 years.
So you mean that I can't run off of passion and I've got all the certs and I've got all the education in the world and I'm going to be a gym and people aren't just going to show up at my door and I'm going to magically make millions of dollars?
Yeah, I think the funny thing about being an entrepreneur is you may not know that as good as you are at fitness or whatever you choose your craft to be, is you also have to be a marketing expert. Mm-hmm. I mean, that was the biggest shock to me is like I had my finance degree. I interned at Merrill. I worked at Citi for 3 years. And then I was sitting in my office October 1st of 2008. And I was like,
how do I share my knowledge?
Where is everybody? And then a month in, I was like, man, I have to be a marketing expert because it doesn't matter what I know. If I have nobody to tell or if I have nobody to train, then you're out.
Sales makes the world go round.
Yeah.
Right? And so all of us inevitably, whether you're a financial planner or you're a personal trainer or you sell copiers door to door, you are in the sales industry. Our delivery is different, but the route that what we make our money is sales. And so these guys, like, I really was excited to share them because, you know, yes, they're in a similar industry and they're out hunting business and they're out creating relationships as well. But educationally, I've been in this industry 10 years now, and I couldn't tell you one financial educational piece that I've ever had in the fitness realm that's like directed at that like human services, right? Because that's what you guys are into. Human services, anytime that you make money by spending hours with people, right? That's, you know, human services, whether it's esthetician or hairstylist, financial planning, mowing lawns, personal training, we're all in the same boat. We exchange our hours of time for money. Mm-hmm. So when is, like, you know, I think a lot of people look at financial planning as something that they do when they have money. And it sounds like you guys are really pushing people towards, like, looking at financial planning is when they're young, when they should do it when they don't have any money. And that, you know, I think it's maybe embarrassing for people. Like, if you've got no money in the bank, essentially, like, to go to a financial planner, it's like, bro, I got nothing.
Yeah, and I think that everybody handles money every day. I'm going to go and buy a cup of coffee. I'm going to go buy lunch. So, like, I think there's this perceived, I don't know, that I should know about money. So when I don't, it is an embarrassment.
Yeah.
And it just shouldn't be that way. So, like, I started when I was 25 years old. I think Adam's barely 25 years old. But
The beard helps.
yeah. But when I meet with the average age of a financial advisor is like 60 years old. And sometimes they're like, oh, well, I've got these minimums. I won't talk to anyone unless I have 250,000. And our philosophy has always been like, well, we started when we were young. Like, we give presentations at UT and Texas State and college kids like, hey, I got $25. What should I do with it? And we're meeting with them, you know? So for us, the younger, the better, because you don't need as much money. I'm 34, Adam's 27. If we both wanted to have $1 million at age 60, I have to substantially set more money aside per month to hit $1 million than he does because he's, 7 years younger.
Yeah, you got to set aside a lot more money.
Dang, throw him under that bus, bro.
Yeah.
Just
No, I mean, he always does.
Right.
But in fact, we were meeting with someone to talk about their 401k, and they said, I am going to go ahead and start saving when I'm 30. And I said, okay, how old are you now? And that person said, I'm 27 years old. So have a nerdy financial calculator, and I pulled it up, and I said, you're the boss. You can do what you want to do, and it's your money. But this decision to wait 3 years will cost you right around $86,000.
And and the person was actually 26 years old, about to turn 27. So we rounded up. So the number would have been even larger. And the outlay that she had to put the money in was like $6,000. So $6,000 over 3 years to grow to $87,000 when you hit retirement. Like, mathematically, it just seems like to get that much money, I have to save a lot of money. Mm-hmm. How many wonders of the world are there? Well, there's 8.
Yeah.
Because time value of money is in there.
So walk us through that. Walk us through that journey, because I'm sure a lot of people just listen to that like 6,087. What the fuck are you talking about? So a 26-year-old, a lot of our audience might be close to around that age. How does $6,000 turn into $87,000 over the course of that time?
I think I'm glad that we cleared off that whiteboard, but here, let's see. I'm terrible at this because I'm left-handed, so I always erase stuff. But if I've got $6,000 and a year goes by, and let's say this year's been a good year in the market, let's say I make 10%. So now I have this much money. So if I make 10% again next year, well, I've made 10% of this amount, not this amount. So every single year, this starts getting bigger and bigger. So now, I don't know if this is right. Let's just say that's, 600, around 7,300. Now, I've got...
Can we use that black one? That black marker?
Yeah.
It might show up a little bit better. Sorry, guys.
7,300. It's going to be a little 3D.
It's all right. It's trendy.
But 7,300, now you've got to grow at whatever rate of interest.
And on top of that, most of the time, the person is still contributing.
Right. So
Right.
it's going up that way
So,
too.
so we've got contributions coming in, and then we've got the growth.
And then if your employer matches, that's just even more money. So it's psychologically, once you sit down and you can see the math and it gets broken down on such a minute level, then you can really understand, well, gosh, $25 a month, that's easy. That's Starbucks.
So can we let's erase this real quick, and I want you to do this again. There's a rag right there. It's a happy rag
Yeah.
because we're dealing with money. Okay, so let's just play a little game real quick, and let's just say that we charge $150 an hour for services. Like that's how much I charge an hour to train someone. Okay. And I average 25 hours a week all year long training sessions, right, at $150 an hour. Okay? So there's 52 weeks in a year. And let's just play the game that my rent is $1,200 a month. And then just other variable costs, insurance, electric bill, gas, intangibles that you're going to have to do. Let's just call them $1,000 a month just for ease. All right, and let's just assume we're not paying our own personal rent, like where we live. We live at the gym. Let's just play the game. We live at the gym on the floor. Okay, so we don't have any other expenses outside of that $2,200 a month. What does that look like? What does that $150? Let's just say I'm brand new and I'm raw, and outside of that $2,200, that money could literally go into anything, anywhere, right? What are we doing with that money, and how does that turn into a safe investment? Like you're saying, pay yourself first, don't pay the business first. How does that work?
Yeah. So paying yourself first does not necessarily 100% of the time mean investing in something. So depending on whatever the situation is, it might be, all right, let's go ahead and save this money and put it into
A business savings
account. Let's go ahead and save this money and put it into some type of insurance contract. Let's save this and put it into who knows. I mean, there's thousands of places that you can put it. The fact is, you're getting in the habit of putting that money aside.
Yep.
And so there's different ways that you can structure some things. Depending on tax and all of that, where you can get deductions for the money that you put in. So at the end of the day, it's really sitting down and figuring out what is it that you individually want to do, what is it that you individually have going on with yourself, and what are we going to do to optimize you?
Yeah. So this, real quick, if we're looking at these numbers, guys, $150 an hour times 25 hours a week, that's $3,750 for the week, gross.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's 15,000.
Yep.
Approximately for the month.
Right. And then, if we're looking at that, that's
37
Month.
It's 15,000 a month.
And that's $195,000 a year if we're just playing total gross numbers. And the key thing I want you guys to look here, because you guys might be going, fuck, if I just work 25 hours a week, that's 15 less than like all my corporate friends, and only $150 an hour, like you're making $200K. But as you can see, Adam's already circling the shit numbers that are going to impede in that. And we're playing a safe game with our expenses, right? This is like most people have double that in expenses.
Yeah, you're going to have a lot.
We're playing a really friendly game with friendly numbers to showcase. So, let's play piggy bank. Can we play piggy bank? Is that okay on your guys' realm? Like it's not ethereal, it's practical in terms of where money you think would go?
Like right now?
Yeah. Maybe if we can show them like what that would look like, because I think that people really just, if we could show them step by step, like, not that you guys need to tell them how to invest the money, right? Because that's what we can't say.
Right.
But where is the money going? Like, how do we even play that game in terms of how much do I put in my savings account? How much am I putting in my business checking account? Am I contributing? You said that $25 a month to my 401k. How does that look?
So in this scenario, we'd be looking at $15,000 a month. So if we're putting our 5% to save for us, that's $750 that we're just putting in a business savings account. And then we would look at taxes. A lot of times self-employed people don't think of the tax realm. So a lot of times a self-employed person just looks at the $150 an hour and is like, I'm making all this money. And it's like, yeah, you are, and good job to you, but that's not all yours.
Right. FICO owns a lot of that.
Right. Like that's one of the things
Damn
that we try to help people with is so we have our expenses here. The taxes to us is a fixed expense. Paying ourselves is a fixed expense. Yeah, this is one of Adam's favorite things because he does a lot of retirement planning. But when you combine the and IRS, it spells theirs.
Oh, that's not funny. But I mean, it's very real.
Yeah.
But I'm sitting there going, oh, damn
Yeah.
it. Okay.
It spells theirs.
Okay. So are you guys seeing that? I hopefully you guys can see. I'm actually going to check the camera just to make sure.
But I mean, at the end of the day, and it really doesn't matter what industry you're in, because when I got into this business, I did the same kind of exercise, and I looked at it and I said, well, I'm going to make that much money? Well, looks like I'm only going to be working for 20 years. But then you realize, okay, I've got all these expenses that I didn't think of. Mm-hmm. I've got to pay taxes. And then on top of these expenses, these are fixed. Well, what about the variable expenses?
Right. Which is what?
Oh man, I mean, in the finance industry, there's tons. In the fitness industry, I mean,
Traveling for
Yeah,
certifications. One
travel
pops up and you're like, I need to
certifications.
learn how to do that.
I need to get more tools. Like with me, I just got another designation the other day. If you're not continuing to learn, you are going to get passed up so fast. And then a week from now, as fast as you got passed up a week ago, you're going to get passed up twice as fast. Because with the internet, I can't remember the stat, but it's like the disbursement of information so much quicker now. Mm-hmm. So much quicker.
It's instantaneous.
Exactly. So you got to always constantly be improving yourself to keep up.
So what should this person be thinking? Like, let's say this is me, right? And I've been in the game 10 years now, and I've worked it to where I've got a favorable rent. I'm in a long-term lease. Let's say I've got a 5-year lease and paying $1,200 a month, and I don't have a whole lot of other expenses because I've even managed those down, right? What should I be thinking here? Like, in terms of like, okay, I've clearly got enough. I've got cash flow coming in. I don't have a ton of expenses, so that means I've got a lot of liquidity, right? But in terms of I'm 31 years old. I just turned 31, right? And I don't think I'm gonna own my gym for the rest of my life, or I don't think I'm gonna train forever.
That's a good question.
What should I start to be thinking right now if these are my numbers and we're sitting down talking about this?
Yeah, so this is where we start breaking it down with people. Like, what do you actually want? Like, you did an awesome job over the 10 years, but what is your vision? So you're like, well, 25 hours, I'm starting to get a little tired.
Yeah.
So are we going to start hiring other trainers? Are we going to start bringing people in?
Yep.
Well, that takes money to do that, So that's where we really sit down with people and say, like, what's the actual vision? Mm-hmm. You're not going to probably be doing this when you're 60 years old.
Absolutely. And that's the game that I think that was really important about playing with you guys is that, inevitably, this game does have an end date. There is a retirement period, just like football, baseball, basketball. Everybody wants to retire at some point and be able to live the Jimmy Buffett life, right? At 5 o'clock somewhere, there's a margarita in my hand. I don't give a shit. I'm sitting on my stoop drinking a marg with a Cuban. Woo! Right? Which is great. We all want to live that dream. But I think that's so far-fetched for so many people. And it's one thing, like when you work a corporate job, like me here on it, like we have a great, awesome opportunity, and you guys put together a great plan for us. But when you're by yourself, like let's say you're in that 1,200 square feet, you're paying $1 per square foot, living on your own. You got cash flow, so you're able to play. I mean, I'm able to go to certs when I want. I'm living, but shit, guys, I don't have a 401k. I don't even know what that is. Mm-hmm. Like, I think that a lot of people just haven't been educated as terms of how do I start thinking about this? What's the first step? And that's why I really thought it was great. I mean, this is easy for people to see because this is how they think in terms of, I do 25 sessions a week, yada, yada, yada. But, in terms of, why they start looking at financial planning, how much does it cost? Like, well, shit, are you do you take all my money? Like, how does that work? Do you make money off of how much you make me? Like, what does that look like? Because a lot of people I don't think know.
Yeah, that's a good question. There's tons of different ways that we get paid. We can charge a direct fee to where you're paying us, like, all right, here's $500 to put together this plan for us, that's where we leave it. Doesn't
Okay.
matter if you implement it or not. So sometimes we like going that route. I like going that route more so on the retirement plan side.
So that'd be like someone writing you just an online program, like squat this many days a week at this many reps and sets with this much rest. You bought it online. Here you go. See you later. And I don't talk to you ever until I want the next set.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or, and commission has a bad rap for it, but
These guys are all commission employees. They better not have a bad rap.
well, perfect. Then we're just
yeah, say
Yeah,
it.
we're in a safe place.
Yeah, so on a commission, you can be paid two ways. You can be paid, in our world, you can be paid direct. So you invested $1,000, I'm going to make 5%. So 5% of your $1,000 is going to me. Or you get paid indirectly of the client's money, meaning, okay, I've just selected this provider to move your money over to. Because we've selected that provider out of that provider's reserves, they're going to pay us a set commission. So you got indirect, direct, and then you've got fee-based.
Okay.
Yeah. But I want to take it back to the question you asked before. You said about the end game. Where you are, you've been 10 years in, where we would sit down and we would say, okay, remember these guys? We're going to try and figure out how to use the money that you have through teaming up with your CPA to see what we can do from an entity standpoint to save you money. And then also, you can kind of kill two birds with one stone, because if you're a business owner, because you can fluctuate back and forth the business and the individual and kind of intermingle them. So because you're the business owner, you can structure it to where you're using business dollars to take care of yourself as well.
Cell phone bills, car insurance.
So there's all
gas.
sorts of, it's all sorts of different ways. Maybe you're not ready to save right now, or maybe you perceive you're not ready to save, but if we can find inefficiencies in the way that you have your business structured, well, that was money that you didn't know you had before, so let's take that money and start conceptually saving so that when you conceptually yourself think you have enough money, you're already programmed to do it.
And that's where we come in with teamwork, like you said, partnering with the CPA. Because when I told you the CPAs look a year and back to save you taxes, they don't take it to the next step. So if they properly structure this entity and they're like, hey, we saved you some self-employment tax and we saved you $10,000, it's like, cool, our job is done. Well, when you take it that next step up and we say, hey, of that $10,000, we're going to put $5,000 into a retirement account for you. The other $5,000, take a trip, goes to your lifestyle.
Boom.
That's taking it to the next step to where now you're used to paying yourself. And then as you find these efficiencies, you're still paying yourself, but your lifestyle's still going up.
Talk about save and spend.
Real quick, I think that's something that these guys probably, guys and gals, don't necessarily probably think about. And it's really easy in a human services type job like that we're all in to just put your foot down on the floor and fucking crush. Like hours, sessions. And you know, the nice thing about like when you're a trainer is like, oh, I might have from 2 to 4 o'clock off every day, so I can take a nap, do my grocery shopping, whatever. So I'm not at work when some of my buddies who are engineers or accountants are at work. But that means I'm usually working 6, 7 p.m. at night, a lot of weekends, long holidays, I'm probably still working and they're not. So inevitably, like we don't take vacations, right? When you're self-employed, it's like you said, if you don't pay yourself first, you're not in the habit of using that money for something else. Even I'm a salary employee, and like I still do that. I'm like, oh yeah, I'll book a trip next year. I'll book a trip for myself. Like I do that, right? And I don't even play the variable income like game. And so I think that's really important when they're talking about this process. Whether you're brand new in the game and you're selling your first set of sessions today, or you're 10 years in, or you're 20 years in, that you're still paying yourself, because this industry, your industry, my industry, are high burnout rates. And what the goal of these guys coming in here today is to help you guys understand how to set yourself up so you can go on a vacation and you can have a retirement, or if there's a leak in your building and you can fix it because you have liquid cash to fix it on the spot kind of thing. So keep in mind that as you hear these lessons from them, that's what it's in regards to, is so that way you guys can progress your businesses.
Yeah. Why did you decide to be an entrepreneur in the first place?
Right.
I can tell you why I did, because I wanted the freedom and the ability to make my own hours. So someone was joking with me the other day. They were like, oh, you're going on vacation and you seem disappointed. And I'm like, well, my life is a vacation. I have structured it the way that I want it to where I wake up every day, I do what I want to when I want to do it, but I know tactically when things need to be done, and I know how I work mentally. I can't do something nonstop for 8 hours and be completely efficient at it. But if I do something for an hour, 2 hours, take a break, come back, now I'm 100% focused there. It's just the burnout, it's real.
So getting on your game early in and working through these systems like they're working on now, that means you're not training. Like when I was a trainer, like I would train 15 hours a day, 6 days a week, right? And it was great because, you know, I was young, I was single, and I walked to work. So it allowed me that lifestyle. But then, like, I wasn't taking sweet-ass vacations to Bali and going on these sweet trips. Like, I did okay cash-wise, but, like, you know, I was probably going out too much, going out to eat, date, whatever it was, right? And so not even thinking about it on that next level. And so when you're 5 years into training, you know, when some of you get there and you realize, like, wow, you look up, you're like, my health is even more, like, I'm a trainer and my health is poor because I'm just training, I'm crushing, I've got expenses out the ass, and I'm trying to live, I'm trying to get a gym, whatever it is. But having this lesson early in, so if you're brand new today, this is your first experience getting into the training world, like, we'll set you up so you can manage that, because the other end of entrepreneurship is I work 80 hours a week to avoid working 40 hours a week for someone else, right? Yeah. And it doesn't have to be, but you need to have systems in place.
Yeah, and the quicker you can have the systems in place, it's just the same with saving. The faster you can do it, the better off you're going to be. Life is long. It's a marathon, not a sprint. So, man, do this. See where you're going to end up. You might not be ready to start the business. Yeah. But like I said, life is long. You have the ability to prepare. You're probably at another job while you're looking at doing this. Build the capital up. Build the capital up. Know the best ammo that you can have would be seeing the future. If I could see the future and know exactly what was going on, me and Chris would be able to retire. All of our clients would be ready to retire too. They'd know the exact day that they could do it. But if you could see all of this and break it down to the minute individual items, then it's not as daunting as seeing, oh, okay, I know I want to make $195,000. I think I can do it. I want to, if my lifestyle and my life and the well-being of my family depends on me, I want to know damn sure that I'm going to create a successful business. Because at the end of the day, yeah, you know what you know. You can push like you said, but you're going to get burned out. So you got to work smarter, not harder. Sometimes it pays to work smart and have everything planned out for you.
Yeah, take your time to do this. So most entrepreneurs will just look at this number.
Yeah. Rome wasn't built in a day.
Yeah, they will say, I'm going to make $195,000. And then they don't go to the steps over here. So where Sam was talking about, okay, I'm making $150 per training session, doing 25 hours. Most people just go, I want to make $200,000. But when you start working this way and you're in week one and you're tracking it and you're like, I've only done 20 hours. I need to go get that other 5 somewhere. Yep. Then you take off your training hat and you put on your marketing hat and you hit up your social media and you're like, hey, who needs a session? And then my wife just had a baby 8 weeks ago, and she's like, yeah, that touched me. Like, cool, I want to go and do that. I want the training session. Now I found 150 here. Like, take the time to find out what you need to be doing so that way on a weekly basis you can be tracking it. And I'm sure you guys are already doing that when you meet with your client and they're like, I want to lose 80 pounds. I want to lose 60 pounds. Well, you're not just like, all right, good luck. You're like, all right, well, we need to lose this per week so that way when you're walking your daughter down the aisle, you look good. Yep. You know, it's all the same concept. You guys are already doing that. We're just applying it to money.
And we do it the same way here with our, if I'm training, an NFL athlete, right? And it's like, all right, you're getting ready for the combine. Okay, we got to make sure that you're peaked, ready to go on February 1st. That means that here's our plan, and today's September, whatever it is, and that means I know I have this many days to get you ready. So that means I can set your 6-month program up for you to be the most effective possible on that day. So if I'm, if I'm a 21-year-old kid finishing school right now, and I'm like, guys, I just finished partying and going to college, and I just got a job as a trainer. Like, you're talking to me about retirement. Like, I just got out of school. What do you mean I need to be working about retirement? Like, that seems super daunting. Like, you know what I mean? I'm 21. So what do we, I mean, you're literally like taking that 21-year-old person saying, all right, you know, what type of lifestyle do you want to live? And like, when do you think you're going to retire? Like, how does that work?
Yeah. So
We just break it down.
yeah. So much life happens. Like when we're sitting down with a 21-year-old, we're not talking about retirement.
Okay.
What we're talking about is building good habits with money. So we are looking at maybe student loans. We're looking at any debt that they have, and we're coming up with strategies to pay that off and save as well. Because if we can have that habit built of I am putting this money away, then money is not everything, but it is powerful. So if you need to move across the country, or you need to do something, or an emergency pops up, you're not just like, oh, here's the credit card. You know what I mean? You've been building, and you're like, I didn't know what I was planning for, but I planned for that. You know, so we're not just sitting here talking about a 21-year-old, hey, you need to start thinking about retirement. We're just saying we want you to have good habits for when life happens, you're prepared.
Yeah.
I mean, it's everything. The faster you can do anything, the better off you're going to be. You look at health insurance and the problem that you got there, or that we have as a nation there, and pre-existing conditions. Yeah, insurers don't want to work with you because you have cancer or something. But if you would have gotten something in place that is extremely cheap to take care of you if you got cancer, well then when you get cancer, you're taken care of. So shift it to retirement. You're putting this money away. The earlier that you start to put money away, the bigger your pool when you get to retirement to pull money from is going to be. You're 100% going to retire. You might not get cancer. So go ahead and start planning for the areas where you could have downfalls, because if you plan for those right now, those downfalls are not going to hurt as much. And life happens. I mean, you are going to have those downfalls. It is inevitable. So the more you can think about those and have those taken care of, the more mental capacity you now have to focus on what it is that you need to do to make your business successful. So let me ask you this. When you started your business, why did you start it?
This one right here?
Yeah.
Fitness Break Room?
And then take it a step further. How much of your time do you actually spend doing what you love versus having to do all the other business aspects surrounding what you love to do?
That's a great question. So I started Fitness Break Room because I saw a need, and any email that's fitness related that comes through my email. And I was starting to see a ton of, oh, I didn't know Onnit Academy had certifications. Can I do that instead of this certification? How do I open up a gym? How do I open up another Onnit Academy facility? And the answer is kind of, sort of, maybe, no, possibly, should, could happen, maybe, was. You know what I mean? That typical song and dance. And I started looking at it, and eventually there was times where I would like talk to someone on the phone and like, hey, let's just talk about like your strategy to enter the fitness industry, because a lot of people do. Like it's maybe the most sexy industry there is, right? And they say like, yeah, I'm a personal trainer, right? And it's like, oh, you know, it has a lure, and yet most trainers are broke, right? But it's one of those things where it seems like it's got everything made. I make my own hours. I work when I want. I just work out with people. I wear gym clothes. Like I wore this to work today. I haven't worn a shirt with sleeves to work, and I don't even know how long.
With guns like that, son, you don't wear sleeves.
Right, ever. You share these with the world.
That's why you live in Austin.
That's why
so
I
you
live
can
in,
wear that in September.
Exactly. Yeah, sorry for the rest of you who have snow right now. But then it was like, okay, there's this need. And so I inevitably always had this goal of finding a way to start a business and finding a need. And, you know, you look at like Malcolm Gladwell's Outliers, and I'm like, well, you know, what was I really set up to do, and what, you know, what's in front of me? And I fell into fitness entirely. The only reason why I'm in fitness in general is because I finished college in 2008, which was an awesome time to finish your undergrad with no experience.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm like, I don't have a job. So I started selling memberships at 24 Hour Fitness, and I did so for a year and a half. Left to go work for a wakeboarding company and then ended up getting fired for not being bro enough. Yeah, I know, for me. And then came back to become a trainer, right? And then inevitably did really well at the training, not because I'm the smartest trainer in the world, but because I'm pretty good with people.
Yeah.
And from there, it was like, oh, I wasn't thinking of this shit. Like, I have, my degrees in entrepreneurship and organizational communications. So if I'm assessing someone else's business, I can look at this and I can run a feasibility study and a 5-year financial analysis and do some projections. But then I'm like, for myself, I'm like, oh, I'm just kind of going. Like, I just thrive on crushing hours because I can. And 3.5 years later, it was like, I don't really want to own a gym. I don't want to manage a gym. I need to get out of the fitness industry. So I was flirting around with working at Nike and Red Bull. And finally an opportunity came up to work for a staffing agency, right? And I told my boss, I was like, look, man, I don't need the sexy job title anymore. I just want to crush some cash. And so I went to go do recruiting, right? So instead of making my own schedule and walking to work, I drove 15 miles each way to the suburbs, but it was a commission-only job, realistically. I had a draw, right? But I woke up every morning and trained a client at 6 a.m., went to work from 8 to 5, came back and trained at 6 to 7 p.m. because I couldn't just take a commission-only hit because I didn't have any cash saved up. I didn't have real cash saved up, not more than like a rainy day. And so I was starting to get really burnt out. And so then I told him, I was like, Joel, look, I love working for you and I've learned a lot, but I fucking hate this job. And I have a solution, though. I think that if I went and worked remotely where I don't have all these other distractions where I'm, because not only was I training in the morning and the evening and had an 8 to 5, I was on the board of a nonprofit, starting up with a second nonprofit, ran a semi-pro baseball team, had a friend and family schedule. Like, I was crushed.
Yeah.
And so finally, long story short, because these guys have already heard it, I packed my bags and moved to Austin. Like, literally just like threw all my shit in my SUV and like drove down here. Was debating between Chicago, New York, and Boston, and only chose here because I moved in November and it was going to be cold as shit. And it was 2014, like New York had terrible snowstorm and Chicago was cold as shit. And I was like, it's 80 degrees here.
Gotta show them.
Right. I'm like, this is actually pretty good life. And I was the very first member at On It Gym.
Oh, really?
Very first one. I signed up at 6 a.m. December 1st, 2014. John signed my membership up. And 5 months in, it turned into, we were just bullshitting every time I came in. And it turned into, quit your job and come work for me. So I came on board and worked here. And 2.5 years into it, I actually just changed my job here. I was originally hired on as the director of communications, moved into a coaching type role, teaching education and certifications. And now I've moved into the director of strategic partnerships.
Cool.
Which is cool. And so starting this up was a way for me to put myself out there. I decided that I attach value on how well I'm doing with my life based on how often I can go experience things on my own, right? So when I'm looking at my friends and they're going to Africa and Bali and Belize and they're doing that in 1 year, I'm like, oh shit, like I'm not doing that. Like, I work really hard. I have a really great job, but I'm not doing that kind of stuff. I was like, okay, I need to find a new stream of revenue. I can't just have one stream of revenue, right? And
So it's side hustle.
it's that side hustle because I took from being a trainer, I took a pretty significant side hit financially to come on and be a salary employee. So it was like a couple lean years for me, even starting out. It's been worth the investment, but it's taken some time, and I was willing to do it. But I was also 28, 29, single, new city. Like, I don't have kids. Like, I didn't have anything I was really responsible for. My fixed costs were pretty low. Just the car payments and rent and insurance and student loans. Like, I had a pretty basic life. Like, it wasn't like a whole bunch of other things. And so this was really just a passion project that's turning into a little bit more. And I think that's something that, side note, identifying if your business is going to be a hobby or a real business. You have to identify that too in the beginning. And it turned into like, I think I just want to put my thoughts down on paper. So I wrote a book. I wrote the ebook, the how-to guide to get into the fitness industry. And then, Jessica had called me up and she's like, hey, I kind of want to do some marketing webinars for the trainers. And I was like, oh, great. So, I was like, actually, I'm working on this project. I think it would be really great if you and I got involved together that way. And it turned into like we were going to go like really heavy coaching platform. And then we're like, we don't have time to do that. We both have really heavy day jobs. Like I definitely don't have time to be on the phone all day here. And so then it turned into like, well, what services can we help provide? What education can we help provide? And it turned into like the website services. And but I'm like, oh, I have an endless supply of guests. Like if I'm not bringing them to town, I'm going to see them,
Right.
more or less, right? So what better way to share that than to have a podcast, right? And literally, like I tell people all the time, you know, like, yeah, it's cheesy as hell, but the whole concept of your net worth is your network.
Yeah.
And you know, like we can play the social media game, whatever. Like, but I tell you what, like I don't know a whole lot of people that have a better Rolodex than me. And so I'm like, okay, but how do I share that? So then it turned into this whole concept of, you know, this fitness is about community and how do we share and how do we grow. And then I was getting caught up, getting called from people and even like some of the top tier fitness coaches in the nation. Like we'd start chatting when we were at a conference or something and about diversification of their brand and what they see themselves doing. And it was like, I think there's more to this than just an ebook and some podcasting and some coaching, right? It turned into like, I think we're more of an agency. I think we really are this inclusive, like between what Jessica does being a marketer and for me is coming from the physical actually doing it, being a sales contributor and having some business acumen, it turned into like, oh, I think that we can really help grow people's concept, right? And then, you know, Jessica and I were just talking, you know, some partners of ours were going through some financial troubles. And so like that made her and I go, where are we at? Like, let's just talk about that right now. How much have you spent? How much have I spent? Because we don't, you know, hadn't had any money coming at that point. And let's make sure everything's just on the table from the very beginning. Let's like you and I be super honest with each other because I don't want to be 6 years down the road and all of a sudden we're talking about splitting this shit up. And even in the first agreement, that the operating agreement her and I wrote up, it was like, okay, how do we essentially want funds to go? Because we did that day one.
That's cool.
Yeah, and I was like, and she initially, because it was
Those are the things you got to think about.
total. Yes, good point.
Have the hard conversations.
Fitness Break Room was essentially like, you know, a concept that I had, and the podcast was my concept, and you know, I came up with Fitness Break Room getting on an airplane from Salt Lake City, and but then I told her, I was like, look, like I don't want this to be like you're moving into my apartment and you're living with all my shit. Like you're my partner. You do what I don't do well. I do what you don't do well. This is a partnership. This is you
team.
and me together. And I don't need to pretend that I do what you do and I can live without you, and vice versa. So making the operating agreement like friendly to both of us because it was very skewed towards my way in the beginning. I was like, no, fuck that. Like this is you and me. And so that changed the persona right away. But having that conversation, because partnerships can be shitty, right?
yeah.
Business ruins friendships. Business ruins family, right? I mean, more often than not, like, you know, you can read all the good to greats and Think and Grow Riches and everything you want, but this is a brutal industry. And I'm not talking about fitness or financial planning. I'm just talking about business. It can be a grocery store. It could be a candy selling business or lawn mowing business, lemonade stand. I don't give a fucking shit. But
100%.
it is a dangerous game. So yeah, not to get too sidetracked from it, but getting into it because initially it was a passion project that I had access to an audience that I would have never had by myself.
Yeah.
And this is how I can share my journey and how I can help. To now it's turning into, wow, I actually have a lot of reach. I mean, you know, the guests that we get and the people that we have access to and who we can share, right? Our concept of we have a guy, right? And that's when Jess was like, man, I'd love to hear like some financial planning advice because, you know, she's self-employed for herself. And I was like, that's great. I'll call Adam and Chris. I think that would be an awesome episode because these guys don't think like this. Like even in the ebook when I was writing it, it was like, how are you going to price your sessions? Where are you going to train from? How much rent do you take on? Like, are you going to be a sole proprietor, an LLC? Why would you be one versus the other? Baseline things. But I went to business school. Like,
Yeah.
you know
They
what I
don't
mean?
teach that.
No.
Yeah.
But or like why? It's just like conceptually, like, oh, a sole proprietor. Like if you get sued, it's your ass, right? No, LLC, at least you have some protection, right? But even then, we can get down the finance rabbit hole, which I didn't go down, right? I was the ethereal projection kind of realm, and you start getting into the nitty gritty, like what you guys do in forecasting and projecting. It changes the game entirely. So I thought, well, these guys need to start thinking about this from day one because if burnout's as high as it is, businesses fail as often as they do. If I can educate everybody or we can help educate people from the very beginning, we can change an industry that's so volatile, that's so disrupted by unstable futures. That's I think a real value for, and I hope that you guys all took a lot of value from this, because there's a lot of great information that sometimes feels baseline because we do it every day, but I hope there were some great nuggets in there that people got to experience.
How much time do you actually, like, from what I just took away, your goal and what you're passionate about is teaching and sharing information with other individuals?
Yes. The great thing is that this job coincides with my day job at Onnit, so I get to play both. Like, me talking on behalf of Onnit also gets to talk on behalf of Fitness Break Room. But then
you have to do all the stuff behind the scenes.
Yes.
Like, that's where I'm getting at. So, yeah, you love to train, but you have to have the financial mind in order to make the business successful.
Yes.
So you got to put that hat on, and if you don't have the hat, then go to Sam and use his resources. Find someone that you know that can link you up with someone that has that skill, because you just don't know what you don't know.
Yeah, I think the partnership you were talking about, where I'm good at what you're not, you're good at what I'm not, is keys. Is crucial. People kind of think sometimes they have to do it on their own. Like, go find that person that can help you. Reach out.
You look at some of the most skilled, efficient groups in the world, the Navy SEALs. Why are they so good? It's because they don't have redundancy. Where someone has an inefficiency, they have another individual who can step up and fill that void. Mm-hmm. So as long as you can find a way to fill that void, that's the name of the game.
Yeah,
100%.
In our office, one of Adam's favorite conference rooms says collaboration. Fuck yeah. So it's cool. Like, what you're trying to do for people is collaborate and bring information and just help people get better. So that's awesome, man.
Yeah, thank you.
I didn't know how to lift properly. I just would never have known that.
Right.
It's just not my realm. So don't be afraid to ask questions. Like, I ask so many questions to the point where I'm like, they might think I'm annoying, but I don't care. I just want to make sure that I'm going to be feeling how I want to feel, which is amazing. Mm-hmm. So if I'm going to do something that detriments me feeling amazing, I'm not going to do it. Mm-hmm. It all goes back to the why. Why do you do this? The why behind the what. Why do I have a gym? Is it to help people? Is it so that I can go out on all these vacations? Whatever it may be, find your why, stick to that why, and whatever your why is, it's going to propel you forward and make you successful, but you just can't forget why you're doing something.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can't forget why you're doing something, because sometimes it's going to suck.
A lot of times it's going to suck. But just remember why you're doing what you were doing and why you stepped foot in there in the first place.
Have you guys read Lewis Howe's School of Greatness? Or do you listen to his podcast?
I don't.
He was at the Mastermind, right?
He was just at the Mastermind, but his book, School of Greatness, my goal for this year for myself was doing audiobooks. Because I don't necessarily make a lot of time to read, so I try to do 2 audiobooks a month. And my goal is to take one nugget of information from every audiobook. Because I'm not sitting there highlighting, reading like a textbook, but I'm just listening in the car or on the airplane. And
School of Greatness?
School of Greatness. And my takeaway from his book was, do your goals line up with your desires? Right? And he gives the example of his buddy who's a physical therapist, and he's like, he's getting out of school, and he's like, what do you want to do? And he's like, I think I want to go work for an NFL team. And the guy's like, okay, that's great. And it's a very surface level answer, right? And dinner goes by, and he starts digging more, and eventually he got him to come up and say, like, man, actually, I really just want to be able to live by the beach, work like 6 hours, and pick my kids up from school every day and be a great dad. And it's like, well, actually, your goal and desire didn't line up at all, right? You might have a goal of going or your desire was to go work with an NFL team, working with athletes, but your goal was to be able to pick your kids up at 2:30 and live by the beach and work at, have a
That's
clinic.
not happening at the NFL.
Yeah, no, right. And so it's like it's entirely different. And so being able to go through here and say, all right, what do I want out of this? Because if we just get caught up in playing the hour game, we're doomed. Mm-hmm. You get doomed real quick, and I'm sure you guys watch that in your industry. Yeah. I'm good with numbers, or I'm good with whatever, right? And so being able to understand, like, okay, well, what do I really want? And for me, like, even this year has been like, okay, well, how do I attach value to my life? Like, how do I know I'm doing well? Mm-hmm. Because inevitably, do we measure ourselves, the dick measuring contest? Is it by how much money we have in our bank, the clothes that we wear, the car that we drive, the trips that we go on? Like, what's important to you? And I'm not saying any of those things are wrong. Like if you want to dress
No.
great, dress great. I don't care. But like, how do you measure
What
yourself?
matters to you?
But are you setting yourself up here
Yeah.
to be successful, right? And that's what you guys really come in and do. And you know, this is an hour of, you know, getting to listen to these guys. But to be honest, like, you know, you sit down and start looking at a real structured plan, just like you guys take a lot of pride in your programming and taking a lot of pride in your fitness and your education. Fitness financials, how does that go? My financial health, we'll say, is something that needs to be taken care of as well, right?
100%. It's all connected. Like
Yep.
we have this saying, what is it? Your physical health, your mental health, and your financial health. If I am not physically, that's the whole reason why I started working out here at On It. I didn't know On It before I got into business with them. I used to joke and say, 21 going on 50. I was in a bad car accident, terrible lifting mechanics, everything like that. So I wanted to feel better. And when I was able to feel better, I wasn't thinking, oh man, my fucking shoulder hurts right now while I'm supposed to be on the phone. And now I'm not thinking about what I was doing. I'm thinking about this. Well, when I got this fixed and this fixed, well, then the mental aspect and the everything coincides with one another.
Yeah.
Everything coincides. If you're not financially where you need to be, or you're worried about things financially, are you going to be as good a trainer?
No.
Probably not, because in the back of your mind, you're thinking, man, I got to get him in. I got to get the next guy in. I got to do this. So if you can get everything in place and realize that it's not this, it's not this, it's not this, it's, I can't think of the right term, binary. It's the opposite of binary. It's not unilateral. Everything is connected. Everything is connected. And the quicker you can realize that and make that connection, then I think the more successful you're going to be, not only in business, but in life.
Everything's flowing.
The biggest, you touched on it, health. Do you want to make and grind your ass off so much to make money that you detriment your health, only to take that money that you made and then go spend it to get your health back? It's counterintuitive.
Yeah.
So you got to figure out a way to make it efficient and viable as a business. But at the end of the day, don't look at it as this, and this. It's the same thing with financial planning. You're going to have all these different accounts. We don't look at it all these different accounts. We put it in a blender and see the full picture. It's a full picture.
Yeah. I want to be surfing. I don't want to be wading water, right? I want to ride that wave and be able to stand on the longboard and shit, not just
Toes on the nose.
get my head beat against the coral because I keep crashing and burning and swimming out.
Toes on the nose, bro. That's why they let you go from the wakeboarding shop.
Something like that. So I guess let's start looking at this. I want to ask you guys, and we're already a little bit different in terms of the episode. What's your one piece of advice that you have for a brand new entrepreneur? It doesn't need to be a trainer, but a brand new entrepreneur getting into business today. What's each of yours nugget that you want to go away with?
You want to take it first?
Yeah. I know we kind of beat a dead horse with this, but
I'll beat that horse.
But prepare yourself first, and make good relationships. Like, take care of the people around you. You just never know what's going to happen. Everybody's so connected now. Like, to us, relationships are the most important thing. So that's what you want to focus on, because you talked about money can fuck things up, like
Absolutely.
big time. But if you are just grounded and you take care of people, people are going to take care of you, and it's just an amazing thing.
Awesome.
I've got two. One is don't take life too seriously. Pick and choose where you need to be serious and where you can have fun. And when it makes sense to bring fun into seriousness, do it. Because at the end of the day, no one, people want to work with you because they like you. They like your personality. We talk about this all the time. I may be smarter than you. That person down the road might be smarter than me. We might be the same intellectual capacity, but at the end of the day, did you choose them? Who did you choose? You chose them because you understand them and you know that they care about you the way that you want to be cared about.
Yep.
So the second, which leads into what I just said, is ask and this is how we usually start every meeting. How can I help?
That's huge.
Because, and I don't know if this is just me, I get the most gratitude out of life when I help other people and I see other people succeed. And you could be about karma, you could be about whatever, but I truly believe the more good that you put in the world, the more good that's going to come back. I've never looked at how much I've ever been paid on a paycheck. I just know that I have a passion, and I know deep down that what I do makes a difference in individuals' lives. And if I'm going down and I'm sitting down with individuals and sharing that information, the money's going to follow. So start with why. Don't take life too seriously. How can I help?
I think he hit on a really key point there as well. I mean, both those were amazing nuggets, but similar to fitness and finance, a lot of people want to work with athletes, actors.
It's expensive,
stars, right? And then same thing. A lot of you want to train the athletes, the movie stars, the models, right? And at the end of the day, like, there's not a shortage of financial planners, right? We talked about this earlier. There's not a shortage of trainers. You don't want to be the only person on the block doing it. To be honest, like, go look up a term called economies of scale. Like, you want to have healthy competition. You want the market to be set. Every market needs Whole Foods. Every market needs Walmart, right? And where you live in that is what sets the bar for you. And they set the bar at the top and the bottom. And but to get business done, right, is to be able to, how can you help? Coming in with a servant attitude, being able to come in and ask how you can help what they're doing. Because if I'm, elite level athlete, let's say I'm in the MLB, making $500 million every 10 years, right? And I've got financial planners coming at the ass for me, like asking how they can do business for me. But the one that I'm probably going to like is the one that's like, man, how can I help? It's not the one that's like, here's what I'm doing this that not one other planner is doing. Like, I've got the tips, or I've got the finance in my head that no one else can do, make the trades I'm doing, or set that whatever up. And it's like, that's not true, right? And the same thing with training. Like, there really isn't a whole lot of reinventing the wheel. And there's a lot of really great trainers, a lot of great programmers, a lot of great coaches, right? But at the end of the day, if people don't fucking like you, they're not going to sign up to do business with you. Whether it's managing their finances, setting up with their coaching, cooking them food, whatever it is, right? So both of those, super great nuggets, but treating people on the front end with a servant attitude and how you can help them and their mission is a great way to go. So that way you can help them teach and you can get to your passion. Because the hard part is we're all passionate about what we do, right? And you want to get to that because even if you're telling them, like, you can do all these things, you're coming from a place of wanting to help, right? But coming in with a specific attitude of wanting to help opens up the opportunity for you to be able to drill into them, to pay yourself first. This is how you're going to set yourself up so that way your kids can get a new bat for his birthday, for his baseball season coming up. And this is how you can go on a vacation with your wife. This is how you can buy a ring for your fiance. This is how you can take that trip to Bali with your friends and peace out from training people for a week, right? That's the person. It's like strength, right? The guy that moves 500 pounds, like, a grunting and moving slow, is like, okay, he's strong enough to do it, but look how hard he worked. Versus the guy that's just cruising and repping out 500 pounds, you're like, damn, that motherfucker's strong, right? So the same thing in fitness and same thing in finance is being able to be efficient with that. So
100%.
Where can people find you guys?
From a standpoint of following my weird ass around on Instagram, you can find me at Finance Fitness Food, #KeepAdamWeird. And then from a standpoint of getting into contact with us for business, you can just go to our website, www.strategic strat-capital.
Yeah.
I never visit the website, obviously.
Yeah, let's start that over. How do they find you?
www.strat-capital.com.
Strat-dat.
Hyphen.
Okay.
Here, you know what? I'm going to just be efficient and use some of our tools. www.strat-capital.com.
And I'd encourage all the listeners and whether you're a hairstylist, a trainer, thinking about even getting into it, potentially quitting your day job that you make, $150,000 a year, whatever you do to work for yourself. to give these guys a call first and set up a time to chat with them. You don't need to be in Texas to work with them.
No.
I'm going to say that again. You don't need to be in Texas to work with these guys. Give them a call, set up a time to talk with them, and maybe they're going to tell you, like, hey, it's not the right time for you to leave your day job yet. Maybe they're going to help you set up a financial plan to make you, to get you on the right track from the very beginning so you're not just working your ass off for nothing, right? So at the,
and use this as a resource. So text us. I mean, I'll sometimes get texts at 11 o'clock at night like, hey, how much am I putting in my Roth IRA? And my wife's like, who's that? And I'm like, it's a client. You know what I mean? But feel free to text us because that's when people are thinking about that. They're probably lying in bed going like, oh, how much am I doing this or doing that? I wanted to put my cell phone, 512-900-0792. So if you're like, hey, heard the podcast, I just had a question on this, like, just like you're trying to do, we're just trying to help.
Help the community.
Yeah.
You just want to see the people around you that share the same beliefs succeed to push on a greater cause.
Yeah, that's awesome, guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. It was great having these guys on, a lot of great knowledge bombs. Get in touch with these guys. It's never too early to start your fitness health, and hopefully we'll be seeing you guys soon. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you.
Thanks again for listening to the Fitness Break Room podcast, everybody. You can follow us on Instagram at Fitness Break Room. And if you're looking to enter our monthly fitness swag giveaway, you can visit our website, fitnessbreakroom.com, and all that info's on the homepage. Hundreds of dollars worth of awesome stuff, so I wouldn't miss that. And then you can even subscribe to this podcast on iTunes and leave us a review if you're digging what we're bringing you. That would be awesome and very helpful. Okay, guys, have a beautiful week. Stay strong and always look out for the little guy.